Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Osborne, Superintendent of Hudson Area Schools, and I would just like to congratulate LISD TV for their 100th episode. We want to thank them for giving our students such a great opportunity to learn so much about video production, and we want to thank them for representing our county and our school districts so well. It's great that so many school districts have had an opportunity to highlight things like plays and musicals and athletic events to other types of events and points of pride within their school districts. We want to thank Kelly Hybrader and all the staff for LISD TV for the great way that they've represented our school districts. Thank you.
Hi, this is Mark Haig, Superintendent of Lenawee Intermediate School District. Congratulations to Lenawee on their 100th episode. These features give us an opportunity to have insight into what's going on in each of our local school districts, and in addition to that, we get an opportunity to have students express themselves and show their learning in different formats. We often see a different student on the camera or on the screen than we do in the chairs or in the classrooms. So once again, congratulations, and we look forward to 100 more.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hybrader, and this is Lenawee. We are celebrating here at LISD TV, and our students and staff here at the station have reached a major milestone. We are so proud to bring you this 100th episode of Lenawee. We have many LISD TV Tech alum that have gone on to do some pretty amazing jobs. One Blissfield High School graduate has been in all 50 states before the age of 40. He's an entrepreneur and an engineer, and at his work they call him the MacGyver. And this engineer figures out how to solve multi-million-dollar problems for Fiat Chrysler. We snagged him for a day to talk to our engineering, robotics, and automotive students. And so, let's check it out and let the learning begin.
So he's an engineer from Fiat Chrysler, coming in to talk to my students about real-world application of what goes on in industry.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy. But all of your disciplines working on this, right? Techs and help in building, simulation and figuring it out, right? And CAD and being able to lay it out itself.
I'm Bill Searing. I am from FCA, Fiat Chrysler, our world headquarters, which is in Auburn Hills, and I'm a systems and integration engineer. What does that mean? That means I involve multiple robot and automation in integrating into one.
We work for a living, okay, right.
So our problem solving for us is spontaneous, meaning that your skill set is that you have to think on your feet and what you're doing, and you don't know what the problem may be. Maybe mechanical or maybe electrical. So what you're trying to do is get to the root cause as fast as you can in looking at things. I am a trained electrical engineer, but I have strong mechanical. So I get called into system stuff, hence the systems integration engineer, and working on things. The project I'm working on right now is robotic unload for product out of the trailer, such as our instrument panels, our front end module, and our seats. It's kind of my specialty.
Pay to play, no one as smart as all of us, right? No substitute for experience. That's the three lessons in the beginning.
So as a supplier, I'm contracting with you for a commodity, and that commodity may be, let's pick instrument panels. So instrument panels, we would know more as the dashboard. So we have what's referred to as a broadcast. So I'm gonna send you 4 to 5 hours before I need that part at my plant, what the configuration needs to be. So it's going to be the covering, the steering wheel, what the dash electronics is going to be. You're going to fabricate that in your facility. You're then going to put it on a trailer on a pallet, meaning think of it as, let's just say for simplicity's sake, a paper plate. And you're going to deliver that paper plate to me in sequence as I'm building the vehicles. So it's going to be a red one, it's going to be a white one, it's going to be a blue one. It's much more involved than that, but in simplistic terms. And then you're going to deliver that to me, and you're going to back your trailer back up to our dock with a robot. I'm going to grab that paper plate, I'm going to put it on a different carrier, and I'm going to deliver it to the line to place it into the vehicle. So we call that modular trailer delivery. And we do that for essentially 4 commodities right now.
A robotics engineer simulator, we would sit there and run simulations to make sure that every part had fit or that it passed all the safety requirements.
The FANUC robots, obviously they're using the same robots that we're using here in the background. They're using on the floor to actually unload freight. They call a pick and place. So we're actually seeing pick and place robots in place. They're also using them, what I was shocked by, I didn't even realize that they're using them to pick up entire cars and moving them from one line to the next, putting them on conveyor belts. So, you know, my students are going to be able to see, okay, yeah, if I can get a certification here in that robot, there's real application to what's going on in industry, that there's probably hundreds, if not thousands of those within their company that if they were to get a job as a tech, they're going to be able to go out and find a job real easily working for somebody like Fiat Chrysler and being able to use those robots and have some knowledge of them coming out of this course.
The process before he makes a car, it's a lot that goes into it. Also, how long it takes.
It touches every vehicle that we have that technology implemented. So we have multiple different run rates. We may have a specialty car such as the Viper that we ran before that we only did 4 in a day. We have other ones where we will do thousands in a day.
This is a Toledo complex, yeah. See, when I look at this, see how each one of these are numbered? 224, 223, 221, right? Here's 301, here's 302. Remember, I was figuring out how many stations? I gotta figure out all the material that goes to that station. I need to figure out how many workers. I need to do the layout for all of the materials in the golden zone, right? When I'm figuring out if I'm an operator and I'm working there and I gotta turn around and I gotta get these parts, right? And I gotta grab them. We figure out motion, man, time in the 100th of a second. In the 100th of a second. So I'm figuring it out how long it's gonna take me to do all this. Because remember, if I give you 52 seconds to build a car and you got 54 seconds worth of work, that's gonna be a little tough, isn't it? Okay, so what I try to do is I try to figure out what's 85% of your content. So 52 seconds really means I'm gonna give you about 43 seconds of work, right? But here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you exercising all day. I want you picking parts and putting them on. I want everything right here in front of me called the golden zone. We have to figure that out for every one of these stations as we're going through there and we're doing this, right? So when you're doing your CAD, we'll do reviews. They call it station review. We will review how many different, there's 448, right?
And that kind of surprised me because we as engineers will have to think of all that and know how everything's gonna be working and know how we want to get things done. So we're gonna have to take into a lot of consideration how that's all gonna be done. And so that was just kind of interesting to me.
Well, it varies depending on the content of the vehicle and how many options, but typically we can make a vehicle in about 24 hours. It depends on our line run rate too. If it's the Ram truck is done very well for us right now. Our run rate for that is in the high to mid 60s as far as the range goes. So every hour we're producing that many vehicles.
What I found that interesting that I told my family was about how fast they'd make the cars and how much it just costs. For planning a car, they have to do it 2 years prior from when they announce the design, and then it takes an additional 2 years to get the car into assembly. And to make a car on the assembly line, at the shortest time takes about 14 hours and the longest is up to 23 hours.
17,000. Final answer, Eddie? Yeah. You are correct, 17,000. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Okay, so Julian, you kind of hit on it, right? I can get blue, seafoam green, alpine white, right? I can get a million different colors, right? I can get engine options. I can get transmission options, right? Now I can get interior options. So our interior options are over the top, right? I can get suede leather. I can get plush leather. I can get feather finished leather, right? Stitching, right?
About every 52 seconds, another car came off the line.
Hey, how much does an automotive mattress spend to change over a new model? Okay. This little file said 80 million. Sorry, I'm calling you out. Okay. Mr. Wonders says 80 million. Right?
Well, how much it costs? $180 million. You know, for a model changeover.
to get some of these products to market. How many people are involved in a car? I think there's over 1,300 that were involved in the production of a car. How many hours that are put in there, and the parts procurement on each and every individual thing, the racking, the palletizing, the just-in-time delivery. I knew some of those things, but I didn't realize how critical they were and how much that was a part of the overall cost. I was amazed.
The parts and the shipping is actually the most expensive part of the assembly, because if one part gets delayed, then they have to stop everything.
The fact that every minute he charges $3,000 if I don't get something to him on time is ridiculous. The fact that every hour I would have to owe him $250,000, that's a lot of money.
So in this conversation right here that we just had, right, it's about a minute, you just cost me $3,000.
It amazed me, and the fact that it's like $180 million is the least you have to pay to start up a car, like just the production, to launch it. It's ridiculous, but.
Well, we learned that small delays can affect the company as a whole. It costs them a lot of money, about $3,000 a minute, and up to $250,000 for an hour.
It's a lot of cash, and that just shows how serious of a job it is.
You think there's a good talent fix there?
Yeah.
And you think that it's going to sell for how much?
Sell for? How much
Yeah.
are gonna sell for?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. What do you think?
120,000.
120,000.
Like making the floor plans, thinking everything through before it even happens, showing us how big the building actually is.
If I start with engineering CAD, right, you have to have a plan. So what is the size of your building? Here's all of this, right? Here's my offices. See this right here? You see that? Anybody want to guess what that is? This is the square footage of the LISD of all of our buildings put together here, right? Compared to this plant. Right there. That puts in perspective 3, 4, 5 million square feet facilities, right? So that's how big I'm talking about, right?
And sometimes it's hard, the hardest thing I think to get your head around is the scale of the operation. And when he put the tech center down, there's that little dot amongst this huge blueprint. It was like, you know what, I kind of knew that, but it just doesn't come to you all the time. What the scale of the operation is.
How are you laying out your lines as far as your assembly lines go? What are you using for your storage area? What are you doing for your maintenance? You can go on and on and on, right? Simple things, just as far as restrooms, right? Are your restrooms laid out close enough to your workforce? Those are all the things in the CAD design that we're looking at to say how are we doing that and what makes sense. The Camry's a 4-door, right? Okay. And where are you building it?
Florida.
Florida, okay. Because you like the beach after work, or?
Because it's a coast, you could just ship it straight. If you have a plant that's on the coast, you can ship it straight to the plant and not have to train it or ship it from a ship to a truck to the plant.
In the simulation field, we're looking to see, does the product and the interfaces work? The tooling on this one. Okay, that one goes through. Do I have clearance in here, right? Remember, I gotta have 18 inches. Let me click that to 26 inches. I think I'm good, right? Now what I wanna do is that I wanna see when I move this tooling down, am I gonna have problems when it's right up next to the vehicle, right? Let's say I gotta flip this hood down. Is that gonna be a problem? Let me see if this clearance right here.
I was surprised about like how much time and effort goes into this, because a lot of people think it's simulation, like drive it around or something, but they actually have to make sure all the parts fit together and work before they go and build it.
The simulations that they had, and a lot of my students didn't realize that how much simulation they did, how much that they were going, farther back in. They were 3, 4, sometimes 5 years out in the making of this vehicle and thinking about it and how all this stuff goes?
The simulators inspired me a lot because they are the ones that put most of the effort into the building. Because if they screw up somewhere, a lot of the work backfires onto them. And if that backfires, then they have to shut down and it just costs more. And they have to get above a 99% every time.
Like, if he asked us if we got like a 99% on our test, how would we feel? I mean, I certainly was like, oh, that's awesome for me. But then he was like, well, that doesn't pass for us. And it makes sense because if a car works 99% of the time, that could cost somebody's life. Like if everything else works, the technology works, but the brakes don't work, like he said, that it can cost somebody's life, so it's a serious business. So you gotta take everything into account, it's gotta be 100% correct. So that shows how much time that they have to put into it.
Where do you think the closest one is? Engine plant for Fiat Chrysler. Well, I take a guess? It's close. No?
Like one of the biggest engine plants that got over in Dundee. You know, yeah, I knew there was an engine plant there, but who knew that a lot of that was slated for export? I didn't know that.
If I have a car and I'm putting it on an overhead carrier or a conveyor as it's traveling down the line, what are my obstacles or what are my challenges as far as clearances go? Testing that and also product too. There's a lot of other things you can do with product as far as simulation go. And then our techs is that can you build it, right? I've engineered it, I've designed it on paper. I've not put one thing together yet. Can I assemble it? Tech, come in and what tool would you use? Would you use a inline? Would you use a right hand, right angle tool? What would you use? How would you access it, putting that assembly together? So all of those disciplines are very, very integrated in automotive. And as far as that goes, any assembly, right? There has to be engineering and planning all done ahead of time.
You're not thinking this all the way through. You have to pay. Imagine how many people you have to pay. Other than that, buying the parts, buying the shipping for them, paying the shipping people.
So we had there was a simulation on the screen, and we learned that us as techs would go in there and we would try to change the, tighten the bolts up on the vehicle, and we'd have to figure out how we could do that and what would make it easier and that we need to change a few things in the simulation.
On every model, it will have 26-inch rims and be produced in Japan by Hiroshima Gamagasi.
Who is that?
Hiroshima
Is that a
Gamagasi.
famous rapper? I have no idea.
He's a producer of the Ford cabinet.
Okay. And what do you think it's going to cost?
It's going to cost you about $126,000.
The biggest thing I remember is he made sure to tell us that he didn't have the traditional way of becoming who he was. It kind of gave me a little more confidence. It kind of helped me shape my plan after high school because I still got another year. Knowing that he didn't get his degree until he was 42, knowing that he didn't jump into it right away was very helpful.
I started out a graduate from Blissfield High School. I attended, it was Votech at that time. Attended Votech for 2 years in electronics. From there, went to University of Toledo. Went there about 4 years and then got into it towards the end and said, I don't think that's really what I want to do as far as a design engineer. I want to be more of a blacksmith engineer. So graduated there with a technical degree, electrical engineering technology degree, and then got into the industry, worked in the industry for quite a few years, and then went on and got my bachelor's. And then from there was very interested in renewable energy and went in and got a certificate in renewable energy as a wind technician.
He had a little bit of skilled trades. So not only was he an engineer and he had a degree, but he also knew how to weld, which is a big thing for me because I am going to be enrolling in welding next year as well and doing engineering. So I asked him about that and would I have a job opportunity like he does. And he reassured me that I would have a big role in that because of the fact that I know skilled trades and that they look for that and they like that.
Well, the relevance of it was a lot of times here in education, we
don't necessarily interact with our industry partners. And the one thing that I think my students got from the message that he had was pay to play, was to show up every day, do the best you can, and these are some of the rewards that you get. And I think the other thing that was relevant, especially now, is entry-level education, and get into the employer, get them to where they'll send you to additional training. And I think that was a really good message, because that's starting to really become relevant now. And one thing he said was, get your associate's degree, get employed, work your way in, and then your employer will send you to additional training.
So when I first started out, I was referred to as a contract engineer for major projects. So when the projects came in, we started on them. For instance, Boeing would have been launching a new plane, or a paper company was going to introduce a new product. Aeronautical, chemical, military, automotive, did contract stuff. I actually did contract for gaming machines, right, as if it was in the industry for casinos, right? All kinds of things. Major trucks, right? Big over-the-road trucks, Freightliner, Mack. Worked for 5 years for Caterpillar, also in the mining industry and earth-moving equipment construction. My job has taken me everywhere. By the time I was 30, I had been in 48 states related to engineering. And when I was with Caterpillar, I had launches in Wolverhampton and in Arras, France.
It helps me know what to look for in the future. And his story, his background kind of helped me, because it kind of reassures me that I don't have to jump into it right away. He said he got his bachelor's degree at 42. He only went to a 2-year college. He went to a normal high school. His grades weren't even the greatest when he went to college. Got put back, did some work, then went back. So it kind of helps me reassure that I don't have to jump into it right away, and that I can slowly get my degrees if I need to.
Don't these other stations use these bolts? Put the bolts on a line side limo. So as it follows the car down, right? Colton grabs what he needs, everybody else grabs what they need, and we move it on. We maximize everything that we can, because to us, 1/100th of a second makes a difference.
They integrate models around regional things so that they don't have the logistics of trying to transport them across country. So I think those things were eye-opening to me.
Job opportunities for young adults is fantastic. Skill sets now with just a 2-year degree, robotic simulation, a CAD layout, all of those skill sets are wanted. And at an entry level, and a lot of companies will train you, but as important too, as you continue your skill set and your education, demand is over the top.
There's no substitute for experience. Do you guys agree with that one? Right? How many times do you go to your parents or a mentor to say, how do I do that? Right? In my world, it's not, I can't go to somebody and say, well, how do I do that? I have to figure it out.
That a group of people is smarter than just one, that not one person is smarter than everyone combined.
You know, the one thing I will bring away is you know, problem solving, perseverance. You know, no one person is any more intelligent than the group as a whole. That's something I preach every day in here.
I wholeheartedly believe that, because doing the bridge competition, we had to work as a team to not only improve our bridge, but our proposal. We went over 1 million times. We even went to our teachers to see if they could find anything, because it helps to get a second look. And like he said, like everybody knows a little something that you don't. And so knowing how to talk to a team and work as a team is like really essential to getting things done.
My advice to those students is to be persistent, right? Fight through it, figure it out. Figure it out yourself. Don't say, well, how would I do that? Take more of the approach of, this is how I think I would do that. Is this the right approach?
I think all the best people came from Votech. And so many times we hear the same story. This is where I got my start. This is where I interacted with people that were like me, that it inspired me to go on and get some different education, different levels of education.
I actually started here I'm not going to say how many years ago, in the electronics program. That was my building base of where to go and get my 2-year degree and then to go on to get my 4-year degree. So,
yeah, and I think that's the important thing, is that some of these people, they may not been what they deemed the brightest person back at their home school, but when they got here, this is their niche, and I think he was very evident of that, what his niche was, all the way from his roots to his millwright father, bringing that up into what he's done and what he does at home. And he still tinkers with things, and he still finds out things that, you know, I wasn't successful in this, but I learned an awful lot. And I think some of that comes from that, his upbringing, coming into what was Votech then, and then moving on and getting his different degrees and going in the engineer field. And like he said there's no substitute for experience. That's so true.
It just, the biggest thing I think, and I don't know if the kids caught on to it, is how life is, you know, Garth Brooks said life is like a river, and it is. And, you know, it's constantly changing and flows in different directions. So I'm sure at one point in his life he thought, yeah, I'm going to go out and work on wind turbines, and here I am working for this major corporation. So, you know, I think that was a good lesson, or a good message to the students as well, that, listen, you know, you may think you have it all figured out, and next thing you know, life throws you a curveball, or you have an opportunity. When one door opens, you have to at least look inside. I felt like obviously he was in the right place.
Their takeaway is that there's some strong instructors here, and take away as much as you can in a selfish way. The programs here are excellent.
Mr. Searing, I found it very interesting about all the facts for the automotive industry. About the 14 to 23 hours to make a car, how one comes off every 52 seconds, and about $3,000 a minute if you're just wasting time.
Mr. Searing, I appreciate you coming in here because you helped me a lot. It reassured me that my plan is definitely something that I can do, and it helps that way I know what I can do, how I can do it, and it's a different way to do it. Not a lot of people go, you know, get their degree later in life. A lot of people go into it right away, but I know that I can slowly work my way up, slowly go to college, get my degrees. I don't have to do it all at once. You helped me get a good look of what the real life's gonna be, and I really appreciate it, actually. So.
I think we'd all remember how much it cost just sitting around talking and stuff, because sometimes we do that here and we don't realize how much we've actually wasted. And when you put that into perspective, it changed our opinions on wasting time.
Challenge yourself, right? Trust in your skill set and what you're doing. You're here, this is a great opportunity.
So, I mean, just to keep going and keep furthering your education, if you have opportunities, then you might as well take them, or else you're just wasting someone's time.
So what did you learn from that? Work involved in our automotive industry here in Michigan is very precise. That's what I learned. And we have some of the most gifted and talented students being trained right here at the Tech Center. Most of all, no one is as smart as all of us. Thanks for visiting, Mr. Searing. Well, students learn how to write code for computers right while they are in middle school. We'll talk to you about that coming up right after this.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach re-employment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. We use computers in our daily lives, but how do you make those computers work? And who does it? Well, we know those answers, and we are training our future workforce right here at the LISD Tech Center and all around Lenawee County. Watch how some students in Madison schools are learning how to program computers.
So this is our 7th grade computer science class, and in this class they're learning JavaScript, which is a computer programming language that is allowing them to make games. The program that we're using is a program put on by code.org, and this is really the 2nd year that this program has been in Michigan.
In this class so far we've been animating and adding sprites so we can make a game.
Here I've made this race car go past the finish line. When it does, it says winner.
The foundation of it is problem solving, being persistent and not giving up. They are constantly working with a partner, asking a friend, hey, what's wrong with mine? How can I fix that? And the ability to help somebody else is really reinforcing their learning.
So first we add a draw function, and then inside it you add all your variables before. On this we put a random number block and put inside where we want it, and then you have to add a draw function to make all of them appear on the screen.
And you'd have this draw loop that keeps adding 10 to its position, which makes it seem like it's gliding across. And the background would place it over. So there would be a background, it'd place the sprite on there, then place a background over that sprite and place another one over, place another sprite slightly ahead of the other one, which makes it look like it's moving across the screen.
Computers are involved in any career that you are looking at. The ability to program computers is going to benefit them in any career that they choose.
Well, we've looked at different jobs we could do with animating and like different coding. So far we're doing JavaScript, and we looked at like how different jobs could pay, and a lot of them were like really cool.
And next year the goal is for them to be able to program actual little computer microbits. We want them to be able to not only use computers, but use computers to solve problems that are in everyday life.
Isn't that interesting? What a fantastic experience. Now we take you to patient care. We'll do that right after this.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play or even what you wear. You just need to be there. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
This job looks perfect. It says you need a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Students from across Lenawee County come to the Tech Center to take college courses while they're in high school. And our award-winning nursing prep class is just one of them. Our students learn the basic patient care, and we invited their parents to literally step into their shoes to see just how hard they work every day.
All right, so tonight we have what we call our program showcase, and we're having our students come in and show their parents about the program, get to live a day in the shoes of a student of nursing prep.
Tonight we have a couple of stations. We have a CPR station. All of our students actually just got their CPR certification, so now they get the chance to show their parents what they learned. They learn CPR on an adult and an infant, so we have both available here for parents and students. We also have an owl pellet dissection. We learned all of the bones of the body, so an owl actually eats its prey whole and isn't able to digest it, so owl pellets are the remainder of that, and the students are able to pick through that, find the different bones, identify what they are, femurs, different things of the prey that they ate. So a couple of students are working on that. great opportunities to actually see some of these bones. We also have a vital signs station. All of our students know how to take vital signs, and we have a hand washing station where they can show their parents the importance of hand washing, and we have some glow germ that they put on their hands just to show exactly how infection spreads.
I saved a baby. Thank you. I saw all my dirty, gross germs from touching the floor, and I watched my other daughter save a mannequin. And right now I'm getting my vitals.
Coming into this class, I knew I wanted to do something medical. I just didn't know what, and so like this class has opened a lot of options for me, and opened a lot of like opportunities for me as well to do things that maybe if I would have just gone to college and done, I'd be like, I don't really like that, or I love it, and now I can experience it here and like figure out what I want to do later on.
It's very exciting. I was a little worried about her and what she was going to find for her passion, and healthcare, I believe, is her road. It is where she's going to shine.
It makes us very, we feel really good, like she'll be able to support herself and always be employed, and you know, she's learning valuable skills that will last a lifetime.
I guess I just love all my classmates, and I guess the community that it brings, and it's just like how all of us are here for one goal and one purpose, and I just love that like no one's here because they're like, oh, they don't want to be here. Everyone's here because they want to be here, and they all enjoy learning about these things. So my grandma was a nurse, and my sister is actually at Jackson in the dental hygiene program, so like I've been kind of surrounded by medical stuff for a long time.
So what we have found is that some of our students come into healthcare because their family members have been in a healthcare profession, and other times we have students that this is their first generation of exploring healthcare careers.
All right, so here we are dissecting some eyeballs. I believe they are goat or cow. Before this class, I was queasy just sticking my hand into a pumpkin, but now I've seen cadavers, dissected eyeballs, bones, hearts, lungs, so a lot of growth in that department.
It's, you know, as a teacher, it's exciting to see the students learn, but then to see them show their parents, it's an awesome opportunity to really show what they have learned here in class.
I just think this is a great opportunity for the students to show the parents exactly what they're doing. They go home and they might tell them about their day or tell them what they learned. This is just a great opportunity for them to get their parents involved and to do the hands-on things that we do here at the Tech Center.
That was really fun to put the parents in the classroom as well. Let's take a little break, and then we will head to Britton Deerfield for their lunch hour.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers' dirty looks. School's out for summer. School's out forever. School's out with fever. School's out completely.
What this place needed was better graduation rates, so we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%, and it can happen in every place.
School's out for summer.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
Okay, what was your favorite lunch when you were in high school? Me, it was Texas Straw Hats. You might have liked pizza or breadsticks. Well, Britton Deerfield Schools has a cook in their kitchen that is making their own family favorites for all of the kids in their school.
I was hired into this building as a one-on-one aide for an autistic student, and my student actually moved away, and so there wasn't a position available for me, and the position here in the kitchen opened up. They asked me if I would be interested in trying that out, and I did. From there, it just kind of took off, and then I took over the kitchen. I guess the rest is history. I really take pride in our kitchen and what we're doing, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but that's okay. I think that's good for this job. You know, we're a small school district, so we actually, know the students all pretty well, and I think that also helps me in doing my job. I'm able to do those little added extra touches that probably the bigger schools are not able to do just because of the amount of lunches that they have to prepare and serve. We have just a small staff, and we're able to really serve some really great meals here, and I think the kids really enjoy it.
They're amazing, and not just amazing because of the quality food that they cook, but the love they put into it. When the kids come through the line, they know them by name. They know what their favorite food is. They know, oh, you're allergic to pineapple, Jimmy. You can't have that, but I made this special for you. It's like a home-cooked meal.
One of the ideas that I came up with was a concept called our Flavor Station, which has been featured all over the state of Michigan because they had reduced the sodium requirements in the schools, and so the flavor of the food, you know, was a little lacking. Yeah, so what I want to do was spice it up. So we've got all kinds of different low salt or no salt seasonings that the students can add to their foods at any time, and so that really adds a lot. Our students cannot have coffee because we have a 4th through 8th grade, but we started serving hot chocolate, and the USDA really liked my idea. All I did was take our current chocolate milk that we're serving, and we warmed it up and put it in a little fancy cup with a lid. And hot chocolate, the kids are funny because it depends on what I name things. I served these, they're called teriyaki dippers, and we kept trying to serve them, and the kids would not take them, wouldn't take them, until I changed the name to Steak Bites, and suddenly, boom, they wanted it because it was named steak. So it really is what you're calling it, what it looks like, and of course how it tastes.
I think it's lacking nowadays that families don't necessarily get to eat together. Here, every day we do, and it's special.
Those lucky kids, what a great lunch menu. And I'm sure they have even more students buying their lunch now rather than packing. Well, that's our show. I'm your host, Kelly Hydebreeder. Make it a great day, Lenawee.